In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Nectar 3's Vocal Assistant. So I've got this really basic vocal here. Let me just play a bit of what it sounds like, just completely dry. There's no EQ, no compression, no nothing. So this is just straight microphone into a digital preamp with no effects.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
So it's a little buried in there. The dynamics need to be smoothed out a bit. It could be a bit brighter to stand out in the mix a bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and load Nectar 3 on that channel strip. And one thing I want to note real quick is that when you load Nectar 3, you can load it in mono or you can load it in mono to stereo mode. I typically like to load it in mono to stereo mode because I can take advantage of some of the stereo effects with the reverb and the delay and the modulation dimension effects within it. If you load it in mono, it's just going to be in mono and there's no potential for those stereo effects. So what you do is I'm going to set my loop range around the area where the vocals are playing there because I want to play the vocals while the vocal assistant is running so vocal assistant can grab the analysis from that track. So you can click on the vocal assistant button right here, and what this does is it suggests a custom preset based on the analysis that you play through it. So what you do is you click on the assist option here. Now in the next video I'll show you the unmask option, but in this video we're just going to use the assist function. So I'll click on this, hit next, and then it gives you a few parameters. You can choose a vintage, modern, or dialogue vibe. I'm going to go with modern, and then you can go with a light, moderate, or aggressive intensity. I'm going to go with moderate for this. And then what you do is you hit next, and you press play, and it'll analyze the audio that goes through it.
Please tell me how, when all the world, we're losing ground. Please tell me how.
So let's see what it's done here. I'll hit accept, and it looks like it's added a gate, an EQ, a de-esser, a second EQ, compressor, and a reverb plugin. Now, when you use the vocal assistant, you'll notice that it always applies these settings. It does not make judgments on things like what delay do you want to use, what dimension effect do you want to use, what harmony do you want to use. So you'll always see this plugin chain when you use vocal assistant, but some of them, like the gate, for example, it chose not to use. So I'll just hit the X button to remove that module. Now, also note that the pitch module is always here. It's not a separate module that you can load because the pitch module always comes first in the signal chain. Now, by default, it does not turn this on. So you have to click the correction button here to actually engage the pitch correction. And then I'll choose the key for my song here. So the song is in E flat or D sharp minor. So I'll choose that here. And then you can adjust the strength of the tuning and the speed. So I'll pull the speed up a bit. So let's give this a listen.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
So let's say I want this a bit brighter sounding. What I think I'll do is I'll pull up this upper band on my second EQ for a bit more sibilance, and I'll also roll out a bit more of the low end with this high pass filter. On my compressor, I want a bit more level dynamics, so I'm going to switch this over to RMS mode, and I'm also going to switch this over to the optical circuit.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
Yeah, now there's almost a little too much compression, so I pulled up the threshold a bit to compensate for that. Now, for any of the modules in the signal chain, you can actually blend the mix for these. They don't have to be at 100%. Now, typically things like EQ and compression, I'll keep them at 100% or maybe just slightly lower to let some of the dry signal through. But for reverb, you obviously don't want all reverb signal. You want to blend this so you hear a bit of the dry signal with the wet signal.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost.
Cool, let's add the harmony module real quick. I'm going to pull this before the reverb module so you can reorder them that way. I'm going to switch these to a different harmony. I'm going to switch these to a third above and a sixth below. Now, how does Nectar know what harmony to apply? Well, if you click right here where it says set scale, this will actually take you back to the pitch module. And the pitch module is where you can apply the scale for the song. So the harmony module pays attention to that scale that you set within the pitch module, even if you're not using the pitch module.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
I'll go ahead and add a bit of delay as well. And I'll put the delay before the reverb, but I'll pull the mix down quite a bit. I just want just a touch of delay. What I'm going to do now is play this back one more time and then bypass it at a few points so you can hear the before and the after.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground. There's no way out. There's no way back to salvation. We're losing ground.
So it's really incredible what you can do with just one plugin. So everything in this vocal chain is helping to create a bigger, more lush sounding vocal